Welcome back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. It's now time for the happy ending.
I am happy, you are happy, let us be happy together, whether the weather is cloudy or sunny. I will always be your funny honey bunny. I am lucky, you are lucky, let us get lucky together, whether the weather is cloudy or breezy. I'll be there to say, hey, come on, let's take it easy. 'Cause isn't it nice to have the friends that you do? And isn't it nice that the sky is so blue? And isn't it nice to say I love you, chugga chugga choo choo, woo woo. I am smiling, you are smiling, let us smile together, whether the weather is cloudy or stormy. I will still be there in the morning, I'll be right by your side in the morning. I'll make you breakfast in the morning, I hope that you like cereal.
Yay!
That was actually recorded right here in this studio, that
so
version
crazy.
of it, when we had Garfunkel and Oates
They were both
in
in
studio,
here?
Yeah, because
So
they were
neat.
doing a show and we were helping them promote and whatever, and we'd used that before, and then she decided to do it live for us, which was
Wow.
really sweet. It was really nice. It was good. And we kind of have an extended happy ending today just because we're in studio.
Yeah.
It's just nice to be here with you, buddy. It's really nice. It's just a good thing. Don't touch my knee. It's weird. This is radio, not television. Hans, Booby, what's with the gun? This is radio, not television. Lewis, tell him I don't know you. All
I
right.
was very glad you could see that on the stream.
Yes, right. Absolutely. So, all right. And part of the happy ending, of course, is that we both get to talk to Steve from the Gold Coast. He's on line one. It's nice to be able to even see who's on the line when I do that. Hey, Steve, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you for taking my call. And just as an aside, I think that the entertainment industry is under a lot of pressure with regard to these sort of action, gun-oriented films. In that, the moment you release a new film, there's going to be 200 channels on YouTube that are going to dissect every little bit of it. So they're really pushing for realism. But unfortunately, the downside of that is that you're also going to create a lot of danger on set. And you two and myself, we came of age in the 1980s.
Yeah.
When, you had people like Sly and Schwarzenegger running around with an M60 shooting it with one arm, and the bad guys running around with a 50 cal. That's like a cast iron pan in your holster. And so today's guns and gunplay is much more realistic, but again, it leads to a lot of danger because, they want to make it look as realistic as possible. So, but having said that, I also think that, you touched on an important point early on with regard to what the right in this country wants to protest. I would appreciate a good debate, but at least get the essence of the debate right.
Right.
Nobody is teaching your ninth grader critical race theory.
Right.
All right, this is even as an undergraduate, you would be challenged to find a class that actually touches on that. It's a graduate level / law school class, and in terms of the scholarship. And so what they've done is they're conflating a lot of other things and then just calling it critical race theory. And don't get me wrong, I think things like the 1619 Project, I think were noble in its conception, but I take issue with a lot of what's in the 1619 Project.
Right.
Including a lot of progressives, historians and scholars do as well. So I think we can have that debate. But what they want to do is simply, lump everything together and just call it some sort of exercise in anti-white, anti-European, Marxist, identity politics. And we should just be opposed to all of it, and don't worry about actually looking it up, researching it. No, it's just bad, and this is where it comes from.
Well, and also there's you create this false parallel where if I create this sort of straw man beast, this Burning Man, Wicker Man, crazy character that that is associated with my own extreme, blown out, insane version of what someone else is saying. So you take something the left is saying that might be down the road a little further than the average person, and then you blow it up into something extraordinary. That's a common technique people use. The difference is the right often takes that and then overlays it on everything else to make it the same. That this is that teaching people how to properly deal with or address trans people in the workplace because there's a shifting dynamic going on in society is indeed the total destruction of gender and the burning down of women's sports in every possible way. And whenever they or HR stuff like not being sexist in the workplace, is somehow damaging to the family unit.
Right.
Yes, and I would argue that it serves a twofold purpose, and that on the one hand, it seeks to discredit legitimate scholarship, but on the other hand, it also gives you a way to rationalize your lack of willingness to pursue higher education, because unless you've been asleep for the last 15, 20 years, the right is pretty much indicting the whole notion of higher education.
Right.
It's some sort of left-wing indoctrination system. So therefore, if you decided to drop out of school when you were in the 10th grade, good for you, because you didn't miss out on anything.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of people feel better about themselves. But in reality, we all know that that's absurd in the 21st century in a global economy.
Right. And even still, like, they've been pushing this anti-public school thing for a long time. So just because they don't believe the government can or should or would be able to do anything right. And they've extended to them, that means that universal pre-K, which is just making sure the kids both have, while their parents are working, have someplace constructive and safe to be, where they will get fed and taught the ABCs earlier than they might otherwise, giving them that head start that allows their brain to become fertile for learning greater thought later. And the extension of 2 extra years of essentially high school if you need it, meaning community college, because that's exactly what that is. It's basically taking the AP programs you would have taken in high school, externalizing them to another place, and then paying for them if you so choose, along with vocational training or something along those lines, is an extension of the public school indoctrination fear that they have in all these circumstances, right? That's the monster that they want everybody to fear, right?
Yeah.
That has to be it.
And we should, on the left, we should turn it against them and say, you know what, okay, so you want to deny a woman the right to choose, i.e. Texas, so then let's by all means then provide her with the resources to help her raise that child.
Right.
Let's fund that effort, because according to you, that child needs to be born, needs to come to full term, and whether she gives it up for adoption or raises it on her own, well, then isn't the logical extension of that, then we should help her? But obviously the right doesn't have any desire to help anyone beyond the time they're born.
Well, that's and this goes there. I will say, and I'm glad you brought this up. And then I want to grab our other caller real quick. But there is a rift going on in the right wing over just these things that they do. Many of them do recognize that 2 years of community college does also equal vocational training, which is the first sort of recognition that blue collar jobs are getting some recognition within the within the Democratic Party, and that's scaring them a little bit, and they can't be against it because later on it will come back to bite them in those regards. And the same thing is true of the pre-K stuff, because they're always telling people to bootstrap and get themselves to work and blah, blah, blah. And one of the arguments is, well, I can't because I don't have any place, daycare costs more than I've got, and I can't, I'm trading off this situation. I can't get out of welfare because there's nowhere that they can go in my area or whatever, but this universal pre-K, the availability of it in all areas, which is literally what it would mean, would give them this opportunity, and then they wouldn't have the excuse anymore. But the excuse, whether they really had it or not, that's another conversation. But the illusion of that excuse would no longer exist.
I get to be the victim.
Right, exactly. And they can't say those people are, using that as a reason to be victims anymore, because the excuse doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. And then it puts the responsibility squarely on the shoulders of the person who is or is not taking advantage of a program that's available to everybody across the board. That all means testing conversations. Let's grab our next caller. Appreciate it, Steve.